Oh,
Good morning. Good morning. I am LaNissir James. I'm one of the high school educational consultants with HSLDA, and we are so excited this morning. I'm here with the awesome Clarisa LaPero, who is also a high school educational consultant. And we are here, Clarissa, on the topic of transcripts. Isn't that exciting?
oh
Yay!
my gosh, yes. It's so exciting. I get so many questions. How do I do a transcript? It's really not that hard.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we're going to make this fun and engaging. And we want to find out
Mhm.
who you are. Tell us what grade your student
Please.
is in, what part of the country you're tuning in from. We would love to know, right? And so
Yes,
as we get ready to get started, tell us, where are you from? How far are you in the
please.
process of creating your transcript? Do you have an eighth grader, a seventh grader, a ninth grader, a 10th grader? We want to know. Or
Mhm.
are you part of the what I call senior year? Da, 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 da. Uh, so
Yeah,
we
that
want to
happens.
know.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so we're
Yes.
very, very excited. So welcome. I just want you to know that we're very, very excited. Now, here's what's funny. We're going to just put a little light spin on this. All
Yes.
right. So creating your transcript is less complicated than doing your 1040
Yes.
taxes. Yay.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Hallelujah. Yes. That
And
makes
it's
doing
less,
taxes makes me nervous.
right.
Right. Uh-huh.
And it's less painful than a root canal, right? Nobody wants to go to the
Absolutely.
dentist, right? Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh.
That's right. Mm-mm.
And
Mhm.
it's less scary than bungee jumping.
That's
So
something
this
to do. Yeah.
so this is going to be a lot of fun. So please tell us where you're tuning in from. Hopefully, Clarissa, you can see some of the states that they're
Yes.
tuning in from. We
I'm not
welcome
seeing
you.
anything right now, but that's okay.
Right,
We're trusting,
right.
you know.
We're excited.
Yeah.
You'll have the
Yeah.
opportunity to post your questions as well. So we
Yes.
welcome you to post your questions. Our team here at HSLDA is here to serve you on this wonderful topic. Now, not only are we talking about transcripts, we're talking about, listen to this title, effectively telling your high schooler story. And
Mm.
that's so important, isn't it, Clarissa?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because
Because yes, you've been homeschooling for a long time. You've done a lot of things, and you want to tell people what your kid has done. So I think it's very
yeah,
important. Hmm.
yes, it's
Yeah.
like it's kind of like a storybook. Every mama wants to show the pictures of their kid, right? But
What's
this
on the
is an
refrigerator?
academic storybook, right?
Yes.
An
Yes. Yeah.
academic.
That's right.
So
That's right.
tell us
Hmm.
about you,
Very
Clarissa.
important.
Tell us about your
So,
homeschooling, anything you want to share. Tell us
so
how
I've
you
been
got started.
homeschooling. Yeah, I've been homeschooling since the last century, since
My sister.
1999. You know, last century. I like to say that it's kind of funny.
Yes.
We have four children, three already done, launched, married, done with college, done with homeschooling. Praise the Lord. So we had to do that transcript thing and get them off and going. One is still at home. She's a junior, and we're tossing around doing the super senior thing. So we're getting some experience with that, having
Yeah.
so much fun because that's what homeschooling is as well as giving your children what they need. It's having fun with them, getting to know them, getting to understand what makes them tick. It's a blessing. I love teenagers. I think that's why I'm a high school consultant. So yeah.
Yes. I love
Mhm.
teenagers too. And that's
Mhm.
exciting. Well, I'm
Yes.
the homeschool mom. I'm LaNissir James, the homeschool mom of seven. My husband and I are thrilled about the army of homeschoolers that we have. So thrilled that we just added seven new puppies, Clarissa. Just everything we
Crazy,
do
crazy
is
the best way.
seven. Right. Just go out with a bang. And so
Absolutely.
we're very excited. Three of them have also
Mhm.
graduated out of homeschooling. One has finished college already. I have two in
Awesome.
college, one who's a junior in college and one who's a freshman in college.
Wonderful.
And
Mhm.
then I have a junior and freshman in high school. So I have those
Nice.
teens at home too,
You got it
launching. We know
everywhere.
where you are,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
the sixth grader. And then I have my sweet first grader. You got to love that,
Oh,
right?
that's so sweet.
So I just get a chance to keep starting over and over and over again. It's just
You're a
never a dull
brave mama.
moment.
Brave mama. Oh my goodness.
So we're going to tackle this topic, and I think, Clarissa, we really need to talk about how
Yeah,
the transcript is one of the best graduation gifts that you can give your student, right? It's
absolutely.
a
Absolutely.
document. We talk about the things that we want to give our student for graduation, but
Yeah,
having a clear, concise document that
that's right.
summarizes their homeschool experience is a gift because they're
Absolutely.
going to need it. So let's talk about where they're going to need this transcript.
Yeah, well, I just had the privilege, LaNissir, as you're saying, it's the best, one of the best gifts. I just had the privilege of giving a 36-year-old woman, helping her assemble her transcript, her high school transcript, so that she could have a record of something. It helps you when you're applying for jobs. It helps you when you're applying for colleges, given. But you don't think you need it so desperately with what you want to do beyond high school, but you do. You need it in every aspect of, what you're going to plan to do after high school. So even more so than a diploma, I say you got to have a transcript for your kid.
Yes, yes. Because people sometimes, the diploma is important. They need to know that you graduated. And of course, in homeschooling, you can do just that. Yeah. But the transcript is kind of the proof. It's like the details, if you will. Yes, so you said it, college. Don't forget about scholarships. That's right. Military, employers, vocational schools, apprenticeship. Even people see that as an opportunity to kind of verify that you are indeed learning and progressing. And so it's a fun document, that people really use a lot. So that's exciting. Now, there's been some kind of confusion. Sometimes people put non-academic things on their transcript. And we recommend
resist the temptation. Yes.
We recommend you do a high school resume. Yeah. And what's nice about the high school resume is that it can follow your student from kind of year to year to year, and then it becomes their official resume.
That's right.
So let's just talk about, Clarissa, some of the things that go on the high school resume that shouldn't necessarily go on the transcript.
Volunteer hours.
Yes.
Like any extracurricular activities, like helping at a stable down the road, cleaning out the stalls, part-time jobs. What other things can you think of? Awards, honors?
Awards, yes.
Test scores can go on your resume. Let them know how well you did, as you're applying for a job or as you're applying for school. Those are some of the things that quickly come to my mind as to what goes on a resume. How about you? What are you thinking?
Right. Like leadership training, because, people love to know that you have outside leadership training. Maybe you have certifications, you did internships, you had an apprenticeship, you said employment, but also competitivities. My daughters were junior Olympic gymnasts, and that information went on their high school resume. The way it shows up on the transcript is if it becomes a unique elective. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, that unique elective. Because that's the story that you're telling. I think everybody, Clarissa, is taking the 5 core: English, math, science, history, foreign language.
You have to. Yeah. So that would be, especially, you have to have, you have to have those 4 years of English. You should at least have like 3 years of math. Sometimes I'll get parents, and maybe you do too, where they think, we've got math all out of the way. And by 9th grade, they're done with math. And I'm like, what about in the 11th grade and the 12th grade? And when your child wants to go on and take tests, they're not going to remember. I don't remember what you did back in 9th grade. So continue with those math classes. Continue building upon those math classes. Then, of course, the sciences and the histories and the foreign language is always good. And I know some people say it's optional, but it's really good for the brain for a child to learn a foreign language.
Yes, but it all really stems to where the child is launching to in post-high school, right?
That's right.
We have, I love our Homeschooling Through High School brochure that tells you how to take classes if your kid is going to the military, career, entrepreneurship versus a 2-year college or a 4-year college. It all looks different. And so I think that the transcript should tell a story to where the child is going. Right?
Yes,
you wouldn't want to see an engineer student with two maths, right? Or
that's exactly right. No, 2 sciences. In our home, we have 2 what we call liberal arts kids and 2 STEM-minded kids, right?
Yes.
And so out of the 2 boys, one was STEM-minded and one was liberal arts-minded. The STEM-minded one wanted to be a mechanical engineer. The liberal arts-minded one wanted to teach high school, possibly study history, loved history. So with him, we were not as strict about the maths and the sciences. We made sure he had, the algebra 1, algebra 2, some geometry, some lab sciences. With the STEM kit, he had everything. All the algebras, pre-calculus, geometry, all the sciences with all the labs, just to get him prepared for what was going to come later. And it was a good foundation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's it. And of course, our family is the dual enrollment family. We love working with dual enrollment and being strategic about it. But that too will go on the transcript. You'll have your transcript from the community college. You'll have your dual enrollment information as well. And these dual enrollment classes can replace what it would be a high school class. So perhaps you have an English 1010, and now that counts as your English class. So there's so many fun things. We want you to reach out to us at HSLDA to make sure that we can help walk you through, because what I know for sure is we've never seen two transcripts alike.
No.
Right? Everybody's a little bit different.
I think the thing that would be most alike is they're taking English 9, English 10, that kind of, but other than that, no. Electives are different, interests are different, and that your child is different. So it should reflect that. Your transcript should reflect that.
Yes, and that's the beauty of individualized education available through homeschooling, is that you can match the need of the child in front of you. And when, of course, with our clan, with 7 of them, I have 7 different versions of, the best life for the kid, right? And they never look the same. I have one who's in environmental science. She did her biology on the beach, and that's what showed up on her transcript. And I have another kid who did the dual enrollment. Her history classes came from the community college, and so on and so forth. So I think that's what's nice about homeschooling. You can really tailor it to your students.
I would agree.
Exciting.
I would agree. Yes. I would agree. Do we have any questions there? Do we have any questions yet or not yet?
I think questions are coming. Questions are coming. Okay, keep your questions coming. I see people from New Jersey. I see people from Detroit. People are excited about this workshop, and we are
good. Oh, absolutely.
So, who does the transcript? That's the question. People say, who does the transcript? It's either the homeschool parent or it's your oversight provider for homeschooling. Maybe you're part of a tutorial or an oversight that provides transcripts, but you're ultimately responsible of making sure you have this document. So I wanted to make sure that we cover that, because a lot of times I see parents who kind of sit back and they don't think about it until they get to the senior year, right? Or it's time, or when someone asks for it. Don't you love it?
Or, yeah, exactly. They graduated already and they're going to go on to something else. And oh, you need a transcript? I need a transcript yesterday. Or
what happens with our kid is that what happens with our kid is that typically they don't know their GPA. Right?
Yes. I get that. My daughter, she recently asked me, she said, "Mom, what's my GPA?" I was like, well, look at your transcript and figure it out.
Wonderful. So Clarissa, I'm seeing that they have some technical issues and they weren't able to go live until about 5 minutes ago. So I want to just go down a quick review, because I want to make sure that you catch all of this information. So Clarissa, can we review for them?
Let's do it. Absolutely.
Let's do it.
We're here for
you haven't missed a thing. We're with you.
Not a thing. We're with you. We're just like, we're homeschooling moms. We're right there. Yep.
Right. So the perspective of record keeping is less complicated than the 1040 taxes. Yay.
That's right.
Less painful than a root canal. Yay. Right? And it's less scary than bungee jumping. So we're here to make this a smooth transition for you. And the best gift that you can give your student is a high school transcript. And so it's a story of your students' academics, right? Just like we have a picture book, right? We have a picture book of all of your kids, when they were in kindergarten and when they were in first grade and when they won the award for piano. Well, guess what? The transcript is a story. And that's why the name of this Facebook Live is effectively telling your high school story. And so we're very excited, Clarissa.
And remember, we want to keep things on the transcript that are just academic, and we want to move things that are extracurricular. We talked about that for a minute, onto a resume and or an extracurricular sheet or extracurricular resume that can then follow your child after high school and through college or through an employment opportunity or something else. So think about those things as well that will stay off of the transcript.
Right. So comparing what goes on the transcript, what goes
Right.
on the high school resume. So let me
Right.
give you a list. Colleges need the reason for the transcript. Colleges need it. Scholarships need it. Military, employers, vocational schools,
Right.
apprenticeships, internships. And
That's right.
when you think of a high school resume, we want things like honors and awards, right? Competitive activities, leadership,
Extracurricular activities,
extracurricular.
volunteer hours,
Yeah.
things like that, things that you would do outside of the classroom. Think of it
Right.
that way. What am I doing outside of the classroom, outside of math, for example? That might be a
Yes.
good candidate for your resume.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I know you said I'm the homeschool mom of 7. And
Right.
did you say you have 4, right?
We have
And
4, yeah.
Clarissa's kind of done, almost done with this journey.
Almost done, and you're still going, girl.
Yeah, you just keep having kids that never end. So I'm like halfway through. It's exciting.
It's amazing.
never
It's inspiring. It's inspiring. Yeah.
Never a dull moment. So if
Oh,
you're just
no.
joining us, please tell us where you're from, where you're tuning in from. Let us know the grade of your student, age, grade of your student, and where you are on this high school transcript journey. And one of the topic today is talking about using the transcript to tell an effective story about your homeschooler. And it's so exciting. So we kind of want to pick up here, Clarissa, and talk a little bit about what's the most important parts of the transcript. There's so many voices out there about how to do a transcript. And we need to talk about the elements that what I call are non-negotiable, right? Like the information section, understanding that they want to contact the school, which is the homeschool, or they want to contact the student. And I'll tell you a funny story. We were using one cell phone number, and we just have always used this number. And my daughter's roommate from college called or text that number thinking it was hers. It was hilarious. And I had to say, oh, no, honey, I'm sorry. I'm her mama.
You don't want to tell me this? Yeah.
So, so being able to have that information section is important. Anything you can think about in the information section?
Make sure that your student has his or her own email address. And make sure it's a professional sounding email address, not a cutesy sounding email address,
Please.
Yes. Think about everybody that's going to see this email address. So you want to make sure you have a good email address on there for your child. And one for you as well, that's, again, not cutesy, but is professional sounding, like, ClarissaLaparo@gmail.com. That's, you can't get any more professional sounding.
That's right. And also in the information section, making sure you have a clear graduation date, right? Sometimes we like to put the month and the year and we forget the day. You want to have a specific day. And of course, it may change. Maybe you're not going to do your graduation on Saturday anymore and it's going to be on a Thursday. And that's totally permissible. And many times the graduation is 3-4 years away. But having a specific day. I think those are my high level, right?
And making sure in the information section that you have a real address. Sometimes people just put their name they forget, if you live on 123 Maple Street, anywhere USA, put that on there because it's not assumed that we know where you live. So please put that on there.
Yes. And then the other sections of the transcript is the academic section. Important, right? Because just like we said, the transcript and the high school resume is the perfect 2 documents to hand to someone who may be writing a letter of recommendation. So when we're looking at the academic section, we're just looking at your English, math, science, histories, foreign language, and then your unique electives that we'll talk about in just a moment. So anything you want to say about that academic section? Kind of what's your tips?
I would recommend, I know different parts of the country have different credit, those credit things. But keep it to a whole credit or a half a credit. You don't need to put, Johnny got a quarter credit of art. Just leave it off or put it on your extracurricular sheet, because a quarter credit doesn't really add up to anything. But you want to definitely keep it to a half or a whole credit. Those are some things that I see that I'm like, we want to wait, just kind of look at it.
Yes, I love that. And of course, our HSLDA legal team is here to help you because there are states with unique issues, with unique credit amounts, like California has 10 and New
Right.
Jersey has 5 and et
Right.
cetera, et cetera. So we have a legal team here who's ready to help you with your unique situation for your state because every
That's
state is
correct.
different. So we're here to
That's
help.
right. That's correct.
That's
That's correct.
exciting.
Yep. Yep.
So there's another section. Let's keep going. It's
Yes,
called the
ma'am.
summary section, where I love this section. I really
Very
think this
important.
section is super important, and I see it missing from transcripts, where you
Mm,
record the yearly and the cumulative GPA and credits
right.
earned. People need a quick look at where the student is and what their GPA is and how it
That's
is
right.
accumulated from year to year. Anything
Right.
else you want to say? And there's also the notes section. We could go
It's
on and
yeah,
on about the
it's
notes.
very important in that summary section, like my daughter saying, "Mom, hey, what's my GPA?" And being able to go to her summary section and show her where it was in ninth grade, where it was in 10th grade, what's the cumulative. And for our members, they can go to our website and there's it's all explained. The formulas for GPAs are all explained
Yay.
there. It's one of the benefits of membership. Yeah, we love
Yeah.
it.
Yes, yes. Our
Yeah.
HSLDA members have extra because we really try to type it out
Right.
for you and give you what you need
Right.
and a template, right? So if you're
Yeah,
an HSLDA member, you can also get a template.
that's right. That's
But
right.
if you're not a member, you can go and get our HSLDA transcript service, right? Go to
Right. I love that service.
www.hslda.org, right? And go
And go
right
to our
into our
store.
store. And
Hmm.
what I love about the transcript service is that it will calculate the GPA
Me
for
too.
you.
I love it. It's beautiful. Yeah. Yes. It's a wonderful thing. My husband was looking at it. He goes, "That's worth it." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yes, it is."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a good thing.
Anybody doing math for you is a friend. There you go.
Oh, absolutely.
And then there's
Absolutely.
one last section. One thing I want to say about the summary section is that we also have the note side, and we have to be
Hmm.
careful how we use our note section. It really should
Hmm.
be places that you want the reader of your transcript to contact.
Right.
So it's the community college, it's the person who may have record of your GPA,
Yes.
but try not to put things that are not as I shouldn't say professional, but not as official, because that is a request. It's an invite for that person to get more information. And so we
That's
talk about
correct.
using the superscript, right? The little
Right. Right.
exponent,
Right.
that's what I
Or
call it.
the little
And
asterisks. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And so that people can see. Maybe you took a class at our HSLDA Online
Wouldn't be
Academy, right?
awesome? Yeah.
Yes, we have
And you put
AP
it on there.
classes. Yes, all
I quite
kinds of
often
things.
think of the notes section as a legend to a map. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
telling me, giving me more information to understand what's going on the transcript. So if he's taken English 101 and I put a little asterisk or a little subscript of a number one, then I can go down to the notes section and see what that number one means. That he took that class at
Yeah.
my local community college, and I would put that information on there. So
Yeah.
it's very important. You want to have all that good information there.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And then the last section that we love is the self-certification section. You'll see this on our transcript
Privilege.
templates. I
Hmm.
love it. Just I self-certify, that this
That's
is the
right.
academic record. And
That's
having
right.
a signature, your wet signature on your transcript. I mean, keep it with your social security card, right? The
Yeah.
passport, because this is what your student will use to show others. Of course, along with your diplomas, you can get all of these great resources for your graduate at our HSLDA online store. So
Yes.
please do visit us. It's there for your help. So I
Hmm.
see lots of great questions, and I hear people saying, Patty says, we use the transcript service and it's so helpful. So glad about that. And I
Yes.
see so many great people connecting in with us with big families. I see Jenny has a big family, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She has 5 kids. Yay.
Oh, bless her.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
My home state is New Jersey, so I see people in from New Jersey. I love New Jersey, Virginia. You guys are from everywhere, from 10th
That's
grade. We see
awesome.
all the different grades. It's exciting, right?
That is
One
exciting.
person, I think it's Jerry, he said, Clarissa, he said, what numbers do you use for calculating GPA? He knew that question was going to come up. The
Good.
GPA
The
calculation.
GPA. That's
Okay,
right.
so let's make this simple because we said this was going to be fun, right?
Right.
So let's make it simple. An A is the number.
4.
Yes. A
Right.
B. A B is
3.
number. Yes.
3.
A
Uh-huh.
C. is
2.
yes, and
Number
a
2,
D is
1.
1,
And
right?
if you
And F is
failed,
0.
unfortunately, you didn't get the credit and it's
Right.
not worth anything.
Right.
So
These are
you get
quality points, right? These are the
right,
quality
exactly.
points of calculating the
Hmm.
GPA. We're here to
Right.
help. We're here to support you
Mm-hmm.
calculate the GPA because this is an area you don't want math errors, right? You don't want to put a transcript in and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I
Right.
miscalculated,"
Yes.
right? Because it could
Right.
mean scholarships. It
That's
could
right.
mean what? It could mean acceptance or not
It,
acceptance.
it,
So
it could. Yep, it could. And that's one of the benefits as a member of HSLDA is that we will help you, look at your GPA with you because sometimes, 2 sets of eyes are better than one. So
always,
it's a beautiful
always.
thing. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a transcript that didn't have an error. It's
Oh, yeah.
amazing because, you've been looking at it, and we see something completely different.
Yeah.
So you have
Mm-hmm.
access to our transcript service. That's the solution to great GPA calculations. Now let's jump into what I call my favorite part, and I think it ties nice to our title today about telling a story. Let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about unique electives. We all
Yes.
know everyone has English, math, science, history, and of course, maybe a foreign language, particularly if they're
Right.
college bound. But let's
Right.
talk about how the unique electives tell a story on the transcript. And it's an
Right.
important one, right?
Right.
And if you have a student, say, who is going into computer science, those unique electives should tell a story about that child's interest in computer science. We
Right.
should see coding,
Exactly.
we should see
That's
Java,
right.
C script, C++, we
Yeah.
should see
That's right.
evidence. Same thing for an engineering
Mm-hmm.
student, an art
Mm-hmm.
student, a liberal arts
Mm-hmm.
student,
Right.
and I think that's where people are getting hung up. One, because we have so many choices in homeschooling, which is
Yes, we
great.
do.
It's like
Hmm. Yes.
everybody's not all taking the same shop class, right?
Right.
You have
Exactly.
millions of electives that you can do. So let's talk about how
Right.
to unpack those unique electives. How did you get unique electives on your students' transcript? What kind of
Well,
unique electives did they?
that's a good question. We're fortunate. My husband works from home, where we own a contracting business. So from a very young age, the kids would go on job sites with him. So they learned how to wire outlets. They learned how to run flooring. They learned how, simple woodworking from a very young age. So when we call it shop, the kid, like my son, my younger son, Luke, has a joke that he says, his friend would call him and say, "Hey, Luke, can you come over for, to play a game?" And Luke would say, he was like 14, 15. "No, I can't. I got some chores to do. What about you?" He says, "Yeah, my chores are taking out my trash. Your chores are your father dropped off a bunch of wood and expected you to build a shed this afternoon. So is that what your chore is?" And so we had with the boys and stuff like that. And even my daughter, she would go and paint and caulk and things like that. But because
Yeah.
my older daughter had such an interest in culinary and the culinary arts, we tried to pursue um, things for her that would expound that. So before she took chemistry, for example, she took kitchen chemistry, which was a science class, which inspired her to get a degree in food science and technology. But then as an elective, or actually this went on her resume, she got a job working on a food line, working as a cold sous chef. So that was a way that, like, let's bring this
Yeah.
interest up and blossom it,
Yes.
and make it work. Now, she had also a profound interest in music. So we, as one of her electives, fine arts was worship music, guitar playing, and I put that on the resume. So look at what your child's interests are. Do they like to program in C++? Do they like Fortran? Put that on there. As an elective, are they spending a lot of time on there? I was able to speak with a parent last year whose son had developed a web business and had spent so much time in this YouTube web business, and she was like, "How do I quantify it?" So we
Right.
talked about that. It was excellent.
Yes.
I don't know, where he's at today, but he had a lot of really neat extracurricular and elective experience in doing what he was doing with a computer.
I love that.
How about
You said
yeah,
something.
yeah,
You said something that jogged my memory. A lot of times people are trying to figure out, well, how do I know how many credits to give my unique elective? That comes up often.
yes,
And usually what we say is that if it's a non-core class, you're looking at about 60 hours for a half credit,
half a credit.
120 hours for full credit.
So for,
If it's a core class, right, you would
Right.
obviously be looking at more hours, about 140,
Like 150.
right, for
Right.
honors,
Mhm.
AP. So
Right.
that gives you an idea to figure out if what you're doing is a half credit or a full
Or
credit.
full
And
credit. Right.
yeah. So
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
My son
Yeah.
is
It is.
into construction management. And I think
There you
one of
go.
the things that we struggle with is being able to know what to call the class. Like, what do you call the class?
Mhm.
And I love being able to come up with the scope and sequence for unique electives. That's my thing. Because you have people who are non-homeschooling around you, and they
Right.
say, is this
What's he
homeschooling?
doing?
What's he doing?
Right.
Well, he's
Right.
laying the floor and he's in his construction management class. My daughter, who loves art, she's painting the deck, and they're like, is this homeschooling? She's in her art class, right? My other daughter,
Yeah.
who planted a strawberry garden, well, that's botany. She's in her botany science class.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think being able to find the passion of your student and
Mhm.
be able to expose them more to it in a academic way is
Right.
really where the love of education really ignites, I think.
Mhm.
Particularly for teens. You have a lot of teens, young adults. I have a lot of teens, young
Yeah.
adults. And
Mhm.
it's tough when you have older kids who are not motivated to do
Right.
education.
Right.
And a lot of times it's tied to not being able to connect to those unique electives. And sometimes we have to talk about it. If that person you have and you can't find it, you just have to be in this mode of observing. Well, what do they like to do? I have one
Right.
of my sons who loves to game. I thought if you love to game, then surely you're going to love to code. Right.
Right.
And so I got him
Right.
into coding.
Yeah.
Another daughter who loves to cook. There you go. You got your
Right.
culinary art.
Right.
So whatever it is, equine, I hear people who love horseback riding. Well, guess what? All of those things become unique electives. And I think it
Right.
makes it fun. I'm sure people
It
have
does.
questions and we'll be able to answer more questions. So you
Right.
have, how many classes would you say in a year that most students could do in a unique elective?
Um, in a unique elective, well,
Mm-hmm. For elective.
on the transcript, you don't
Mhm.
want to show more than 7.5 credits. That's like
Right.
the max. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so if we think about, we have our 5 core, you don't want to have more than 2 electives a year.
Right.
So you want to be very discerning and very discriminating about what it is you want your child to study. Because I've seen transcripts, they come in with the 5 core and then they've got 5 electives. It's too much.
Right.
And
Too
we
much. Yeah.
think, because we homeschoolers like to be a little overachieving, but we don't need to be.
Sometimes.
So in that area, we can tone it back a little, and it's okay.
Right. Well, and because you want the story to tell a consistent story. You don't want the story to kind of be all over the place. You have to
Right.
really get selective. So
Mhm.
if they're doing Civil Air Patrol, but they're not interested in maybe military or flying, but they're also doing something else that may be closer tied to their program, you want all of it to tell a story. And I
Right.
loved working with the college-bound student as well, because when when an admissions advisor is looking at the transcript, they're spending less than, what do we say, less than 10 minutes per transcript.
Yes. Yeah. They're just
And
looking,
so
reading it over.
it's a
Yeah.
quick look. And so you want to instantly say, hey, they're applying to this program, and this transcript says that they're interested in the program
Right.
that they're applying to.
Right.
Or if they're
Right.
undecided, that's fine too. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hope
Yeah.
this is helping. I hope this
Yes.
is helping.
Yes.
So let's take some questions, Clarissa.
Sure.
Let's take
Let's go
questions.
for it. Okay.
All right. So lots of people have questions, and it's okay for you to post your questions. If you're just joining us, hello and welcome. We are talking about homeschooling, the homeschool transcript, and it effectively telling your high schooler story.
Right.
And that's the topic. And so if you haven't
Right.
introduced yourself by saying the age, grade of your student and how many you homeschool, please post it. Or if you have questions
Yes,
about
I'd like to
transcripts,
know.
we're happy. Do you see some questions? Can you see them, Clarissa?
I can't see any questions because I am
Okay.
not. Yeah. So
Nope.
go ahead.
Let me read
Yeah.
it to you. It says,
Yes,
do
please do.
transcripts have to be notarized? We encourage you to go to check with our legal department. Okay.
Right.
So maybe there may
Right.
be some unique situations in your state. You can
Right.
contact us. Hopefully you're a member and contact our legal department. But typically
Right.
the answer is no, but there are
Right.
could be some exceptions there.
Right.
Here's another question. It says, does the transcript service format include some setup describes and wait a minute. It says, does the transcript format include Same setup you described, like notes, summary, pages, etc. So yes, our transcript service does mirror many of the things that we're talking about on our transcript template. It does have an
Right.
information section. It does have a note section. It does
Mhm.
have a self-certification section. It is well
Remember,
done.
it's just one
And we
page.
also,
Yes. Mhm.
right, and
Right.
it is one page. Oh my goodness, Clarissa, we have to
Yes.
say that one more time. How many
It
pages
is
should your
one page.
transcript be?
One page. Your transcript should be one page. Remember when that applicant, when you've applied for a college or a job, and LaNissir just mentioned that you got that admissions officer has 10 minutes to look at your child's transcript. What's going to stand out on that transcript? We don't want to
Yeah.
flag it. We don't want the transcript guy to go and put it aside and flag it. We want it to go, oh yeah, and put it in the let's go pile.
Yes.
So those are the things we help you with as a member. We're
Yes.
happy to help you
Yes.
with those kind of things.
Yes. It says, does job count as an elective? This is a great question. And let me tell you how I love when a job shows up on a transcript. If you have a student like Clarissa was saying that in culinary and food service,
Right,
and maybe they
right.
take a job, say at Chick-fil-A. Okay, so that could be tied into it. It's, now it's a retail management and a live opportunity to work in food servicing. And wouldn't you agree that if you have a job in an area that a kid is interested in?
Well, for example, my daughter right now, she works for Honey Baked Ham. I'm not going to claim it as an elective. That's that's on her resume. Now, if she was doing, like, for example, my son had a job working at the Y, helping kids do robotics and helping them code. That one on the transcript is an elective, and I called it robotics because that's what he's doing. You know what I mean? So I think what the child is doing, like baling hay, for example, I would not call that an elective. But if there was something that went further, you want to think of a class. What are they learning in the class? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the culinary thing that LaNissir said. What are they learning about food that could be a class?
Right.
That's how I would differentiate it.
And also how many other things, like we're in the process of starting a farm school. So baling hay may not be important, but if you're going into agriculture, it is important.
Right.
So
And
I think it
knowing when to
depends.
bale hay.
Right.
Exactly. Right.
Right. So it
Yeah.
depends on, I think it goes back to telling the story, right?
Right.
So if the
Exactly.
story is relevant and all of the arrows are going in the same direction, I think that
And it goes
matters.
to the individuality of the child and what's being done in the
Yes.
home. You know what I
Yes.
mean? There's not a blanket yes or no, to
That's
those
right.
kinds of things. Yeah. Mhm.
Yes. Okay. See, here's a couple more questions. Let's see. It says, we have been an HSLDA member since starting homeschooling 7 years ago, and they recommend our membership highly. Yes, because we're here. The educational consultants are here
Thank you.
to support you. And sometimes you need a live voice of someone who also homeschools, understands where they are, right? We
Yes.
understand when you
Yes.
call. And
Mhm.
let us not forget, we have other departments. We have our special
That's
needs
right.
department. So perhaps you need support on accommodations on your transcript. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? We have a special needs department that can assist you. Or
That's
you have those early years. We have an early years department that can assist you. Whereas maybe you don't need a transcript, but you might need a report card, or you might need some sort of strategy to your curriculum. We're here to support. So, but Clarissa and I are from the high school department, and so that's why we're talking about high school stuff. But I want to talk about one subject. I'll take more questions, but I want to talk about a very popular subject. When you have an 8th grader who's getting high school credit, how does that show up? We love the opportunity to work with academically talented students. And that's basically what we're talking about. A student who is taking algebra, right? In 8th grade,
science.
maybe even in 7th grade, right? Obviously, these students will get to college, obviously, much earlier, could be a year or two earlier, dual enrollment. So, but what does it look like on the transcript, Clarissa?
You want to keep in the 8th grade, the classes that the classes that will go to the 9th grade year, or basically to the high school transcript, would be the classes that you think about that have a building block, like math, for example, like algebra, like science. So you go like from physical science to biology to chemistry to physics, etc. And foreign language, you have Spanish 1, Spanish 2, Spanish 3, Spanish 4, Spanish 5. So if you want to start your foreign language journey in the 8th grade, those things go really well on the transcript. The things that we don't like to see on the transcript from 8th grade are history and social studies. And I get the question, but it was a high school class. Why can't I take that, high school class? I think it's great that your student in the 8th grade took a high school class that was history or English. You might want to consider skipping them from the 8th grade to the 9th grade, which is something we did in our home because we wanted all the classes to count. But if your child is not ready yet for high school and you want to keep them in the in the 8th grade, that College Board basically says that, or other colleges say that history and English classes and electives from middle school do not go on the high school transcript.
Right.
So that's
it.
Mm-hmm.
And also what's important, I love everything that you're saying, is that want to make sure that you don't lose steam on the other side. So sometimes you really want to think it through. So if you have a student who is in 8th grade, starting algebra, 9th grade would be geometry, 10th grade would be algebra 2, and 11th grade would be a pre-calculus, or calculus, right? Statistics.
Right.
And so what I see sometimes is that people lose steam along the way. It would have been much better if you can't do some of the higher maths while you're in high school to consider doing your algebra in 9th grade. So I think beginning with the end in mind is important when we look at the transcript, particularly if you're going to have a student who's advanced.
That's right.
And so it's exciting. You want to call us because we want to be able to individualize our consultation for you. And it's going to be unique. And there's no two students. Maybe you did a public school or a private school and now you're homeschooling, and what that looks like. And being able to work with all these unique situations is what we're passionate about.
Right, exactly.
So I just have a couple more questions that I want to grab. And if you have questions, please go ahead and post them. Someone says, if a child is taking horseback riding lessons and piano lessons, could that be added as an elective on the transcript? And I think we talked about that, if it's relevant, right?
Right. If it's relevant.
You had a music student? Did you have a music student?
Yeah, we had a music student. So, and I get that a lot, where the child is not only taking the class, but is spending so many hours a week in practice of that instrument. So, and like LaNissir mentioned before, so is it 60 hours a week? Is it 60 hours in the school year? Is it 120 hours in the school year? So the 60 hours again would, be a half a credit, and you would call it music, like music, 1, music 2 next year, music 3 next year. Is it 1 credit, 60 hours? 60 hours is half a credit, or is it 1 credit, 120 hours? So that's something that you can keep a good hourly log on as you go throughout the year. And then horseback riding, the same kind of thing, like, would that be PE? Would we use that as PE? Because horseback riding is very rigorous. So that depends on, do you want to call it just PE and not have to explain, that it's PE, horse riding? That's a good question. It can be used for PE.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And I have a student, I have so many different sweet babies at home. And one of them, I tell you, she's my future veterinarian. And so now that we have, the James Heavenly 7 puppies, so much of her life, she's going to be taking a series of horseback riding classes that will show up on her transcript.
Yeah.
And so that when she gets to, if she, going to major universities, many of them have farms, agriculture, and they have animal departments, veterinary departments. And those are the students that they want in the door of those departments. So I think it goes back to what we said initially about, unique electives, that it tells a story. Now, Clarisa, I want to share one thing with you that I want you to chat on as we kind of wrap down here. What happens when you just don't know? There are people out there saying, you know what? I don't know what my team wants to do. What would be your recommendation, the steps that they can take to kind of organize, if you will, their unique electives along with their core classes?
I think your teen knows more than you think he or she does. I just discovered that personally. You have to ask a lot of questions. And we noticed that she did have broad interests, a lot of interests. Sometimes it's bringing those interests down and pinpointing it to something. And it's okay if you try different things until something rings a bell, and like, oh, I do like this. And and that's the beauty of homeschooling. Try
Yeah.
different things, offer different things, read about what there are different things to do. Sometimes the community has great things that one can try. Sometimes the library has really fun things that one can try. But don't be afraid. I think the biggest thing that keeps homeschooling parents back is fear and comparison. Well, Johnny's not doing the same thing as Abby's doing, and Abby needs to be, Johnny needs to be doing what Abby's doing. Not necessarily. Johnny might have different skills and different, interests than Abby, and it's fine if they're different.
That's right.
So, think about, what do you think, LaNissir? What do you think?
Yeah, I love everything you said, Clarissa. And those are some good questions for parents to think about when they're looking, particularly when you're looking at several siblings inside one home, to watch out for that comparison game, because what one kid may do may not be what another kid does. I know for me, even with sports, there was a time where I had 4 junior Olympic gymnasts in my home, and it was great because we were all going to one gym. But I remember when it changed, where I had a kid said, we're a sports family. I just really like basketball, and somebody else wanted to do soccer, and it was okay. That meant mom was an Uber, right? But it also that's where my Uber job started. But it also means that kids were really pursuing what they enjoy doing the most. And that's so being able to have a watchful eye is important. Someone mentioned, how do you put unschooling on the transcript? We're a road schooler, so we're in our RV. We have a family property that we're restoring down on the beach. And so we're often caught in this unschool environment. And how does it go on the transcript? I think it goes back to that same thing about thinking through what you're doing. Maybe it's unit studies. Like, for instance, one time we went over to the beach and there was a high amount of jellyfish. Well, we weren't studying zoology that year, but we were studying zoology that moment.
Right.
Right.
We wanted and that becomes biology. That becomes part of biology. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that unschooling, I love that. We also love the Junior Ranger program, where we're out and about the national parks and traveling different places and being able to study where we are. So we consider ourselves, unschoolers, road schoolers. I
think that's awesome. I think that's really fun. I would be cautious with the certain subjects that you have to have building blocks with. So you want to make sure that your child, for example, has a really good foundation in math. So there's no other way to do it but then to take Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 and geometry and all that good stuff. So there are certain, and Spanish, like Spanish 1, Spanish 2, whatever. I'm using Spanish because I speak Spanish and I used to teach Spanish, but it could be any foreign language. But those you want to think about those. Even though we want to unschool, sometimes we have to do the curriculum all the way through because they're building block subjects. Right. And in high school especially, I would be very careful with that.
Right. Yeah. And you could unschool high school. I think one of the things, like, we're doing carpentry math. We've added carpentry math. I mean, hey, you got to measure twice and cut once. And so a carpentry math was outside of the beaded trail of algebra, geometry, algebra 2.
But there's algebra in there. There's algebra in there in that construction math. And the only reason I know is because my husband is a contractor. We call him the human calculator. He's like, my daughter says, do I really need this algebra? And he's like, yes, you do need this algebra. Yes. That's how we make our living. So even though it's construction math, there are principles of algebra in that geometry that he's applying to his construction math.
Yes. So this is great. So as we wrapped up, Clarissa, I want you to start thinking about ways that you can encourage those who are working on their transcript. And I want to just kind of throw another scenario. What happens if you just have never done a transcript? You've never done a transcript, and
I recommend
now it's time
where you are. Yeah.
Right.
Start where you are, and then take a minute. Don't panic. That can be the worst thing that you can do as a homeschooling mom. Take a minute and think about, what have we done? Just brainstorm. What have we done? Then take that and kind of break it down into 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. If you're one starting just in the 12th grade, do it that way. And then you'll be able to fill in the spots and fill in the years with everything. And you'll look back and you'll say, wow, we've done a lot.
Yeah.
So, I would encourage you stop where you are and take an inventory.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Someone else was asking a question about not using 8th grade classes for high school. I want to just clarify, Mimi, who was asking or making a comment there. You can have 8th grade classes on your high school transcript. In fact, mostly what we call highly gifted students do bring classes forward onto the high school transcript. What we're recommending is that they're in subjects such as your science, your math, and your foreign language. And as if you have a student who is excelling in some of those other core courses, such as English and history, consider, of course, talking to our legal department, but definitely consider maybe moving them up a whole grade. So it definitely happens, and that's really how students get ahead. So the answer is yes, you can have 8th grade classes, but understand that a kid who's doing algebra in 8th grade obviously had an advanced start. There was something going on there, right?
That's right. That's right.
So it's coming. So make sure you contact us so that we can support you.
Right. That's right. That's exactly right.
That's exciting. All right. Someone else said, did you say that biology in 8th grade can go on the transcript? Yes, biology can go on the transcript in 8th grade. It goes biology, chemistry, physics, advanced biology, advanced chemistry, advanced physics. And our STEM students really want to get a hold of some of those advanced sciences, advanced chemistry, advanced biology, advanced physics. So it's nice if you have a student who is interested in STEM and get an early exposure to it. So I hope this is helping. We know that you guys have lots of questions. Thank you, Mimi, for being a lifetime member. That's so exciting. Please call us. We're excited about that.
Really awesome.
So many great things going on. And I just want to make sure it says, if they have too many credits, right, is this frowned upon or appear fictitious? Now, I want to say something about the too many credits.
Right.
There are unique circumstances as to why a student has a lot of credits. Sometimes they're part of a highly academic program. They might have come from a private school, public school, and they had a lot of credits because remember, when a kid is moving forward, their vigor and pace is more accelerated. But what we're asking you to do is to look to see, should some of those credits go on the high school resume? Because we know in homeschooling, we have the homeschool freedom to be able to explore lots of different things. So you want to make sure that it tells a story. So like Clarissa, you were talking about the 5 core classes and the 5.
Make sure those are on there. But
it was a lot,
it's a lot. There was the way, when I heard this, the way it was explained to me, it made a lot of sense. So for example, let's say you have 10 credits on your transcript for the 9th grade, and none of them are from the 8th grade. You have just 10 credits from the 9th grade. A reviewer, a transcript reviewer will look at that and equate 10 credits to 10 hours a day in the classroom. And you and I both know that's a bit of a stretch. Do I want my child in class from, for 10 hours a day, from 8 to 6 every day, or from 9 to 7 every day? Maybe not. And so what happens is that transcript is then taken into question, and the integrity of the entire transcript is then taken into question, and then it gets flagged and it gets put aside. And we don't want that to happen. Our kids have worked so hard. You've worked so hard. So we want to give, like LaNissir is saying, an accurate representation of what we're doing in a classroom, every day at home. So some of those things, that are not the 5 core should go on a resume or extracurricular sheet to say, look, we've done this outside the classroom. Look at how involved our child is. You know what I mean? That kind of a thing. So we kind of want to just keep your credits down to 7.5 is really a good number. It's a lot, Yeah.
And so it's totally up to you. You have the freedom and the liberty to present your child. Remember, it's your storybook. We're going to go to our beginning to close.
And we're just talking about how to display the story. You know what I mean? Like how to tell the story so that somebody will read it, somebody will read it and go, this is cool, and not say, this is crazy. That's what we
Right,
want to do.
right. Effectively telling your high school story, your high schooler
Yes.
story
Yes.
via the transcript. It is my favorite topic. I could go on all day, Clarissa, with this topic, and I know
I
that
know
you
you
can
can.
too.
I know
So,
you can.
so
Oh,
let's go
gosh.
with our closing thoughts. We want to encourage
Okay.
people that one, they can get this transcript done. It does not
Oh,
have to be so
absolutely.
stressful. And
Absolutely.
so give us your closing thought here. What would you say
I
to
agree with you.
encourage?
I would agree with you. You've homeschooled your child. You've homeschooled your family. You can do a transcript. It's not that hard. It's putting thoughts down. And yes, there's a form because there's a form for everything, So it's just learning how to fill out the form or whatever. But yes, you can. You can, just like you have homeschooled, you can do a transcript. And we're here to help you at HSLDA. We have a fabulous website. If you join as a member, we're here to hold your hand all the way through high school, through the transcript process. So it really is not difficult to do. And we encourage you to come along. We encourage to be able to come alongside you to do it.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I guess my closing thought would be it's a picture book. Look at it like as if you were showing pictures of Johnny when he was first
Mm-hmm.
born. It's so
Right.
precious. And then you were showing
Right.
pictures of Johnny when he was in kindergarten. And then, oh my gosh, when he got to first grade and fifth grade and middle school and then high school. Well, part of that story is finishing out
That's
with the
right.
transcript.
That's
It's
right.
part of the story. It's like, hey, here's the journey and here's how it finished before he
Mm-hmm.
went into adulthood. So
Right.
that if there was a such thing, you would have the last page of your storybook being the transcript. You gotta love
That's
it.
right.
And just
That's
say,
exactly
and
right.
and look how great he did. Because people do, they love
Mhm.
to talk about their GPA and how their high school years went. And I want you
Right.
to look at that transcript as a story
Right.
that you're telling. And we're
Mm-hmm.
here to listen, to
Mm-hmm.
come alongside of you, to be able to
Yes.
understand how you want that story to be told. Because one thing I
Yes.
do know for sure, certain is that mom or dad can't talk over their transcript,
That's right.
right?
That's
That
right.
piece of
That's right.
paper is going to go on
Mhm.
someone's desk.
That's
And
right.
on that
Somewhere.
desk, it's got to
Mm-hmm.
tell a story and it doesn't go with your voice. So
That's
my
right.
hottest tip is just fall in love with the process, step
Mm-hmm.
back to it, be courageous enough to hand that piece of paper to other people like us at HSLDA who love you, who
Right.
because if you're a member,
We're
we'll review
excited
your
for you.
transcript. Yeah, we
Yeah.
didn't share
Mm-hmm.
that, Clarissa, but if you're a
That's
member,
right.
we review
We
your
will.
transcripts for
Yes,
you.
we will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course, we're standing here looking at what you're saying about your student, and that helps you better tell your story when others are coming alongside
That's
and
exactly right.
listening. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll be on the Facebook rest of the day. The team will be trying to answer your questions or direct you, but I want them to drop an important link. We have a series at HSLDA about why every teen needs a transcript and how to get
How to
one.
get
So
one.
I'm going to ask
Mm-hmm.
them to drop the link to that so that you'll have it and you can see more. And if you have specific questions or if you need advice, please, we encourage you to reach out to our educational consultants here at HSLDA. That's what we're here for. We're here to answer your questions.
Mm-hmm.
Please go to www.hslda.org/join. My gosh, it's like 37 cents a day to have
Mm-hmm.
someone who is equipped, capable, nurturing, knowledging, and networking on your behalf for a
Mm-hmm.
successful transcript and a successful homeschool journey. So thank
That's
you so
correct.
much for watching and your patience and
Thank
your
you.
flexibility today. Clarissa, you were awesome and
So are you,
amazing.
girl. So are you. I want to see pictures of those puppies.
Yes, I'm going to show you my puppy pictures. And
Yeah.
of course you've seen Clarissa on some of our Hispanic platforms. And we're so excited that this is
Oh,
her
it's,
first
it's awesome. It's a
English
privilege.
live. It's so exciting.
Yeah,
Did you
it
want to
is
say
so
something in
fun.
Spanish? Did you want to say
Hola,
something in Spanish?
bienvenidos. Estoy muy contenta de ver ustedes aquí. Esperamos ayudarlos en el futuro. So yeah, we're here to help. Like LaNissir said, we're here to help you. So don't
Awesome.
hesitate to call, reach out. We've got our legal team that will answer any questions as to what do I do in my state, and we're here to help you from the crib to, like LaNissir said, to that transcript to graduation. So
Yes.
we'll help in any way we can.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for watching. We appreciate your time and we appreciate you just keeping your eye open for our next Facebook Live. But again, you can visit us on www.hslda.org/join. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.